Hannah Hamilton's Horrid Hullabaloo by Mary Annie Husler. This series is dedicated to all the wonderful Hewitt girls I was privileged to teach, with a special thanks to Savannah Rosen for her invaluable help. Chapter 20, The Battle. "It was you," Hannah said. "It was you all along." "What are you talking about?" Grace asked. "You know his name. You called him Mr. Kitchen Master." "How would you know that?" "Well, because we met before when we were together, and when I saw him this time." "But when did you see him, Grace? When were we together?" If it were possible for a ghost to look confused, Grace did. It was, she stuttered. That time we were together at St. Hedwig's." "You said you hadn't seen him then." "That I was the only one who could see him." Andrew was standing there eyeing both of the girls. "All right," Grace snapped. "I was working with Marla. She forced me to spy on you, but it wasn't my fault. I was afraid of her. She threatened me. I didn't have a choice." "Well, I do," Hannah said. "Stay away from me, both of you." She entered St. Hedwig's alone, soaring over the ceiling, waiting. She heard a rustle, and soon Andrew was beside her. "I had to come," he said. "I hope you understand." But he hadn't come alone. And soon, one by one, other ghosts filled the hall. Some of them she recognized. Mary Lou, the boy with the cat, whose name she never knew. Rosalind, Sister Maria Constance, but most of them she didn't know at all. They were young, they were old, there were hundreds of them. They had all congregated briskly on the dark stained wooden floor, standing at attention, waiting for Hannah to say something, anything, to reassure them. She looked at Andrew, bewildered. "Thank you all for being here." It was the best Hannah could come up with. "We saw what you posted on Twitter. We're tired of being bullied by Marla. There's strength in numbers. We'll stand by you. She can't fight us all." Hannah wondered if that were true, but as she looked at the army of ghosts, she felt a wave of pride. To think she had accomplished all of this. And then she heard it, a rumble. Suddenly, with a clap of thunder, a man appeared, not Mr. Kitchen Master. This man was nice-looking, with even features and a head of blonde hair. He was dressed all in white, and he was sitting on a throne in mid-air. He looked like someone famous, someone from long ago, but Hannah couldn't face him. "We need to speak to Marla," Hannah demanded, knowing that her voice was shaking ever so much. "She's busy. Go get her," Hannah demanded. The man laughed, and it echoed through the walls, and suddenly a number of skeletons flashed through the air. "We're here now," Hannah said, "all of us. If Marla wants to steal our souls, let her come out. Let her battle for them. Unless she's afraid." The man didn't comment, but the room became colder, ice cold, and it was deathly quiet. Until green and yellow and orange sparks filled the air, and thunder crashed, and the building shook. The entire room was illuminated, and the chill in the air had turned hot, as though the area was on fire. And as Hannah was thinking how to escape, she felt a shock rush through her, almost like she was being electrocuted, and she let out a scream, but no one could hear her because the noise was deafening. Things were flying in the air, and not only ghosts, but dogs and cats and birds, and it was hard to tell who was winning because Hannah wasn't even sure which person was on which side. But then she saw something which absolutely terrified her. A male ghost dressed in a school uniform was enveloped by a fireball, and his screams were hideous as he disappeared into the wall. For one moment she thought it was Andrew, but then she saw him cowering in the corner, hiding under the body of an elderly priest. Suddenly a wall opened, and Marla appeared, floating in the air. She was carrying a sword and swishing it this way and missing ghosts by inches. She approached Hannah. She ducked, and instead Marla reached a woman dressed in a firefighter's uniform. The woman howled and then flew into the corpse of a nun, where she continued to whimper for several minutes. Hannah looked up, and she saw Mary Lou was screaming loudly, only there was so much noise Hannah couldn't hear a word that was being said. But she could read Mary Lou's lips, and she was saying, "Help," only Hannah was not sure how she could help. Hannah drew a deep breath and tried to reach Mary Lou. But when she got close, a blue ring enclosed her, and every time Hannah tried to touch it, she felt a shock. From nowhere came the same laughter, cruel and relenting. Hannah turned around and saw Andrew on the other side. He was crying. Hannah was trapped. There was no doubt about it. Mary Lou on one side and Andrew, and they were both pleading with her, and she was powerless because in front of her was a red, blazing fire. She remembered something she had learned in catechism class. When you need to change things, you have to dig deep inside of you and pray, and you will find the power. Was God on her side? She took another deep breath, and suddenly in all the confusion she saw something on the floor which she hadn't noticed before. An old rusty mop. But now it didn't look like just an ordinary cleaning tool. It was shiny, bright, with sparks coming from ragged edges. She hesitated before picking it up. What if it was a trick? What if Marla had put it there? Hannah saw Andrew and Mary Lou, and she knew that she had to try. If she didn't at least do that, then she would have to spend the rest of her time in eternity wondering what would have happened if she had the courage to do what needed to be done. She flew over jerkily and picked it up. It tingled in her hand, and then it turned ice cold. She waved it through the orange circle, and the circle began to dissolve. Andrew flew in the air and was beside Hannah. "Go back to Anna's academy now," Hannah told him. "I don't know if I can." "Try." Andrew closed his eyes tightly, and then he was gone. Now Mary Lou. Freeing Mary Lou was easier. The circle broke right away. "Thank you," Mary Lou said breathlessly, and then she paused. Hannah noticed it also. The din was softening. It wasn't as noisy. Did that mean the battle was almost over? And if that were the case, who won and who lost? "Get out of here," Hannah said. Hannah was considering leaving right then and there with Mary Lou. After all, she had done what she set out to do, and she was finished. Then she noticed Grace in the corner. If ghosts could cry, she looked as though she was weeping. Could Hannah just leave her behind, even if she was a traitor? "I think it's over," Hannah said as she approached Grace. It was deathly silent. Grace wasn't answering. It was as though she had been struck mute. "No one's here," Hannah said to Grace. "Does that mean it's finished? Did I win?" Still Grace said nothing. "What's wrong?" she probed. "Where's Marla?" All of a sudden her eyes focused in the distance. Hannah whipped around and saw Marla coming towards her. Instinctively, Marla reached for the mop. Marla was fast, but Hannah was faster. Marla screamed aloud and disappeared into the corpse of an elderly woman. The peaceful expression on the woman vanished, and instead her mouth changed into a horrifying grimace. And then it was finally over. Over.